Yo, peace to everybody that's out there. Listen, I got I got a few things to actually go over with y'all real quick. Okay, this is gonna be a real quick video, and I want y'all to actually, just listen for a sec. First of all, there's a lot of talk about where Egypt was, right? And to be honest with you, Egypt was, what I'm saying, in America. It was never in Africa. Um, Old Egypt, right? Old Egypt was in America, because Kemet was in America. Kemet is the black soil, the fertile soil, right? The black soil is the rich soil. Okay, we have the rich soil. All right, we've had the rich soil for years and years and years. Okay, this rich soil, that's the reason why we are the number one country when it comes to having the most soil, because this is a soil landmass. Okay, so for us, we've always been here. All right, we've never came from Africa. Okay, the whole story about the 12.5 million African slaves and 10.7 million actually survived the slave trade, and then 388,000 actually came to the American landmass. That's just a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of bullshit. Now, I'm not saying that the slave trade didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Because there were some slaves that actually came, in Virginia, in Jamestown and in all of those areas, right? But there was only a certain amount of number, and it damn sure wasn't no 388,000. And it wasn't even more than that. It was a small amount, okay, based upon millions of us. So over 90% of us are Indians. We've always been Indians, okay? Now, when it comes to Indians, we need to know that Indian did not come from India. All right. We need to know this. Indian came from the indigo. Okay. The color indigo. Why did it come from the color indigo? Because it was all esoteric. It was all esoteric. Okay. The reason why it was all esoteric is because the color indigo is violet, right, and blue. If you look at the esoteric chart, the ultraviolet is basically your crown chakra. Okay. And the dark blue represents the American triad. All right, because you got a lot of triads. You got the Celtic triad, right? You got the triad in Christianity, which is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You have the triad in, what I'm saying, the belief system, as far as the sky, which is heaven, the earth, and then the underworld. Okay, threes. It comes in threes, y'all. Okay. Um, so the American triad, that's what the American triad is. The heaven, right, which is the sky, and then you got the earth, and then you have the underworld. What is the underworld? The underworld is the death world. Okay. That's the reason why certain scholars, certain Afrocentric scholars, basically said, what I'm saying, Lucifer is the morning star, right? And Rashad Jamal basically said that morning means death, which it actually does. Okay, so the Death Star. What is the Death Star, right? The Death Star is basically your soul. All right, that's the Death Star, because your soul is infinite and your soul lives on after your body and your vessel passes away. All right, so your Death Star is basically, the light bringer. All right, because it is a light particle. Now, when it comes to that, right, the light particle connects with your pineal gland. Okay, that's the reason why they'll have you reflect yourself. Okay, with your pineal gland being open. When your pineal gland is open, they call it self-reflection. That's what it means. Okay, when your crown chakra is open, they call that self. I think it was self-awareness. Okay, I don't. Oh, self-knowledge. That's what it means. Self-knowledge. All right. Now, those indigo colors represents that. All right, the self-knowledge part. All right, is your higher self, your highest self, right? And basically it's ultraviolet. It's the color of ultraviolet. All right. Now, that's basically Hinduism. All right. And if you actually do your research, the Nagas are the Mayan people. Okay, they are the Mayans. So who are the Mayans, right? The Mayans are basically black Mesoamerican people. All right. We are the descendants of the Mayans, y'all. Okay. We've always been here. Mayans, Incas, Aztecs, we are them. Okay. We've always been them. If you believe in reincarnation, right, you know that wherever you were born at, that's where you were last. Okay. So if you know you were born in America, you was here in America in your past life. All right. So the ancestor, right, the Indian ancestor that you know back then that has been in America, that was you. All right. Whether you were a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter because your soul only matters. Okay. So whether it was your great 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 grandmother or whether it was your great 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 grandfather, you was that person. All right. That person looked like you for a reason. Okay. So you've always been here because you are your ancestors. Now, let me get down to the nitty and gritty about how we are the Americans and how we are native to this land. We've always been indigenous to this land. Um, Indigo is also another word for indigenous too, by the way. But anyway, um, so everybody has been fighting over, the name Tameri. Okay, there's different words for Tameri. Okay, there's different words for Egypt, right? And one of those words for Egypt is Tameri. All right. If you look at the Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionary, it's from a scholar. I don't know his first name, but his last name is Wallace. Okay. You look at his Egyptian hieroglyphic dictionary, and it will say Tamararu, right? It's spelled weird, right? It's spelled Tamar, right? And then it's spelled Aue, okay? Tamararu. That is literally Tameri, okay? That is Tameri and is basically another word for Tameri, right? And basically it is referring to the beloved land, okay? Any type of word that says Tameri, Tameri, or Tamery, right? You have a lot of different ways of spelling Tameri, but it is the same damn meaning, okay? It is the same meaning, which is the beloved land or the black soil or the black land, okay? Because the Tamery is an African way of saying Tameri, and that is Kemet. Okay, Kemet means black land, and then the black land refers to the black soil, the black rich fertile soil, which we all know is America, because America has that rich soil that we always use. Okay, we've always used the soil here. All right, so you got to think, right? In the ancient hieroglyphic, you know what I'm saying? If you look at the Egyptian hieroglyphs of Kemet and of Tameri, right? Tameri has a different hieroglyph than Kemet, right? But in Kemet, you would see the falcon, right? The light falcon and then the dark falcon, okay? This dark falcon represents the blackness, right? The black sun, right? Or what we like to call, you know what I'm saying, the melanin, right? It is the carbon. The light falcon represents your light particle, your soul, okay? So basically it means your self-reflection, all right? That is Kemet, the self-reflection. It is basically the black land, right? The soil is the light. It brings greatness with light, with sunlight. Okay? It brings greatness with sunlight. The blackness brings greatness with light. Okay? That's the reason why the falcon had two different colors. It was shaded black and then it was light. And then it was called Kemet. Okay? Meaning the black land. Because when you grow something out of the black land, it becomes the fruitfulness lightest color, and then that lightest color makes it fruitful. Okay, so when you taste it, it will also taste fruitful. It will taste and it will look fruitful. Okay, with all of these different colors, like you see, there's a different color with orange, there's a different color with apples, there's a different color with bananas, so on and so forth. And all of these crops are grown from what? The landmass. Okay, these crops represents the light. Okay, because the sun helps grow these crops. All right, and the black soil is basically, the shaded falcon, the black falcon. All right, that's what it also represents. Okay, it doesn't only represent you, it represents what you grow, and it also represents the landmass. Okay, and the sun. All right, it gets deep, right? Because it represents multiple things. I told y'all that before. Like anything that is symbolic when it comes to these hieroglyphs, you have to look at it from a multiple standpoint. Okay, not just one. Because if you look at it from just one perspective and one standpoint, then a lot of other people would be lost, right? Because they look at it from a different light. So you got to break it down in more ways than just one. Okay, that's a God mindset. Now, when it comes to that, right? Now, I'm going to get down to the nitty and gritty about Tameri. You have Ta, you have T Americans, okay? T Americans, Ameri, right? And then you have amara, right? Amara, or Amaru, or Amaru, okay? These pronunciations are basically synonymous, okay? Or amor. You ever heard black amor, right? It's basically saying you are the copper colored of America, okay? You are the copper color of that landmass, all right? This is the rich landmass that everybody wants to come to, all right? So when they say black amor, when Noble Drew Ali talks about black amor, that's literally what he's talking about. Somebody from America. Okay? So amor, amer, amar is the same damn thing. And now when you actually notice about El Amaru is basically the plumed serpent that we used to worship. It's an entity, okay, that we used to worship as Aztecs called Quetzalcoatl. Okay? He is the plumed serpent, and he represents, I just found out that he represents Joshua in the Bible. Okay, now with all of this information, right, that I basically just told you, this is basically the information that I found, you know what I'm saying, on certain scholars, you know what I'm saying, YouTube channels. All right, but at the same time, I've researched certain shit myself, and it actually verifies. Okay, so when you look at certain books of Jeremiah, like the New Beginnings, right, or the Book of the Beginnings, he basically tells you about Tameri, the word Tameri. You look at, like I said, the Egyptian hieroglyph dictionary. They have Tamararu, right, or they have Ptah in there too, which is Utah, right? But Ptah, is basically an Egyptian god too, or an Egyptian deity as well. Okay, and they're talking about Utah, the landmass Utah. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. They talk about Moses, right, and how Moses actually describes Utah word for word, right? The whole everything that's in Utah, he basically described in the Bible. Okay, this is just like great shit to actually research. All right, so when they say that Tameri is African, you know what I'm saying, is an African thing, it's really not. Okay, and they're going to trick you talking about some, yeah, well, name one American language that Tameri had actually had. Well, first of all, Tameri is not only, an African thing. You know what I'm saying? Like Tameri is, a South American thing, a Mesoamerican thing. It was also a North American thing. It was an Asiatic thing, because if you really think about it, the Egyptian language is an Afro-Asiatic language, right? Anything that has to do with Afro, It has to do with black people. So Afro means black. So black Asiatic. Okay? It doesn't say black African. It says black Asiatic. Okay? So that means that it was originated in Western Africa. The Ethiopian language Giaz was originated in Western Asia. Okay, it was originated in Western Asia, then it migrated to North Africa. Okay, that's how Africans got the whole language of Giaz. Okay, which is an ancient Ethiopian language. All right, so it wasn't an African language to begin with. All right, so with all of this nonsense that they're talking about, you know, about um Egypt being in fucking Africa, that's not right, right? Because when they talk about the Nile flood in Mississippi and everything, here's my thing, right? Everything that they talk about anciently aligns up with American names. But then again, if you look at Africa anciently, Africa had different names anciently, right? Even certain scholars even said that Africa wasn't even Africa. It wasn't even called Africa back then, right? So why would we actually study a whole nother continent instead of studying this continent that where we from, right? We focus so much attention on Africa, giving Africa all of this energy and all of this money, you feel me? Instead of actually giving it back to our people, right? Because these are two different people. These we are all skin folk and kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole different people. You know what I'm saying? And I love African brothers and sisters. You feel me? I love them. You know what I'm saying? Like I have no animosity towards Africans at all. You know what I mean? Like we even had certain treaties with certain African tribes back then. That, you know what I'm saying? As ancestral and ancient people, but you know what I'm saying? Like we know where the fuck we from. We from here. You know, we're not from Africa. You know what I'm saying? And Africans know this, and they know they've never heard a damn story about 12.5 million slaves going to America. So where the hell we getting all this information from? You see what I'm saying? Like it's indoctrination. You're lying to us. So that's it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This whole out of Africa theory is silly to me because we were everywhere. You know what I mean? We were South America. We were in North America, Central America. We were in Asia. You know what I'm saying? We traveled to Africa. You know what I mean? And if you want proof of this, you know what I'm saying? 600 out of 640 fruits that grow in Africa are originated in America. That's the reason why certain American fruits that grow in Africa are smaller than the American fruits that grow in America. Everybody keeps talking about, you know, the GMOs in our food that makes it bigger. No, it's always been bigger fruits here. It's always been bigger fruits here even before the GMOs. Okay? Don't let them put that in your head saying that, oh, it's the GMOs that make it bigger. No. We've always had bigger fruit. We've always had bigger fruit, bigger nuts, bigger, you know what I'm saying, vegetables. We've had everything was bigger here because this is the motherland. You feel me? This is the land with the most soil. So of course it's going to grow faster and it's going to grow bigger. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be more efficient. Now, here's my thing about it. Um, when you talk about Wakanda, right? Everybody keeps thinking about Africa, right? Everybody keeps saying that Wakanda is basically a myth, is basically fictional, right? My thing is this, right? If you actually look at El Peru, right? ELPERU. You look that up on Wikipedia and it'll tell you how the ancient Mayans used to actually pronounce El Peru, and it was Waka. The English pronunciation of Waka is Waka, but the actual word for Waka is Huaca. there was a location in El Peru named Waka, and it was a Mayan site. Okay, so this was an ancient Mayan civilization in El Peru. Okay, this is where they got Wakanda from. This is the whole thing of where they got Black Panther from. Okay, so when you actually talk about Black Panther being a fictional story, you're basically saying that your history, your ancestors' history, your Mayan history is false. That's what you're saying. You feel me? We gotta watch what we say. First, we saying that we come from Africa. Then next, you know, we saying that the actual history that we have is fake. You know what I'm saying? This is all of this is indoctrination. All of it. And even though I do have all of this proof, it still makes sense to me, even if I didn't. You know what I mean? It would still make sense to me because, like, it's like, bro, we've always been here. So why would we actually have to worry about other people? You know what I'm saying? That never worried about us. They were only worried about what we could bring to the table, which is value. America has always brought value to the table with other foreign countries. That's why foreign countries always make money from us, right? If Africa was the motherland, we would be calling Africa the land of the free and the home of the brave. We would be calling Africa the United States of America. If they were the true motherland of everything, who wouldn't want to take over Africa if Africa was the real motherland? It was the same thing with here. They wanted to take over America because this is where all the shit was. You feel me? And when I say they, I'm talking about the Black Europeans. Because everybody keeps thinking that they were white, and you need to know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. I told you that. You feel me? The purifiers, the Puritan way of life, the Catholics, the motherfucking Jews, all of them. The French, the Irish, the damn, you know what I'm saying, England, you got Scotland, right? All of these different types of people in Europe were black. They the one that came to America, visited America, and decided to create a plan to rule over America psychologically, because we was fucking them up in every single war. Okay? They mind fucked us, and that's the reason why we are here right now today, being so-called slaves. Because to be honest with you, what the slaves did back then, we're doing now. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't working for free. They were called servants back then. You feel me? They were workers. They were land workers. And some of us were land owners. The people that you see that are getting hanged, right? That were getting hanged back then by white supremacists. Those were people that were landowners. Those were our landowners. Those black people that got hung, those are families. Those are families of landowners. So that way, the supremacists that actually have done that can be able to take the land. They didn't buy that land from them. They took it by force. And then after they took that, it was like they cut the head off the snake and the body fell. We fell after that. Because if we didn't own anything and they took everything, then psychologically they can control us. You feel me? They can control us now. Because all of the landowners that was with us are dead. You feel me? We was never slaves. So for us to think that, and after that happened, that was when they was on some indoctrination shit about, you know, us actually having different identities, us actually having social security cards, us actually having all of this shit. Mulatto, saying that we mulatto, we're black, we're this, we're that, right? We're Negro, we're Freemans, like all of that shit. All of that stuff happened later on. I'm just giving y'all the real, man. You could take it how you want it, but you know, it is what it is, man. This is Egypt, bro. So whoever tells you about African history, whoever tells you about Egypt, whoever tells you about Kemet, if they tell you something about Kemet, Egypt, Ethiopia, if they tell you something about Memphis, if they tell you something about the Nile River, then take Africa out and put America in and see how all of that shit makes sense about what they're saying. I guarantee you, you're going to be like, damn, bro, they really are talking about us. But it is what it is, bro. I send peace and love to everybody. Deuces. I'm out.